Hey, comrades, what's up? We're here to talk about the Wendigo Arc of the X-Men. Now, Wendigo's popped up before. He's in Hulk when Wolverine was first introduced, but he's back. We're going to focus a little bit on him here in issue Uncanny X-Men 139. So we start out. Oh, before we begin, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment. So before we begin, we start in the Danger Room, and we have Angel, who's now rejoined the X-Men since Cyclops has left, and he's trying to integrate himself with the team, and he's having a real rough time. In fact, he's causing a lot of problems. We also find out that Wolverine has a new costume. He's now wearing his brown costume, which is very famous from the late 80s to 90s. And Kitty's there, and she's super excited, but she's also nervous to do X-Men stuff. And Nightcrawler pops in with lemonade, and we get like a whole thing where she's like, "Oh, I know I shouldn't be scared, but he looks like a demon. I'm so scared." And then everyone's like chit-chatting. Wolverine's like, "Hey, since we got some downtime, I want to go kind of settle stuff with Alpha Flight and make sure they're not going to chase us down and make sure we're good with the Canadian government and all that." And Nightcrawler's like, "I'll go with you." And so they head up to Canada. Meanwhile, Professor X has set up Kitty with a dance teacher, Stevie something. Hunter, Stevie Hunter. So Aurora takes her to see Stevie. Stevie used to be a very famous dancer, but she got injured and what. Now she's a dance teacher. And Aurora has a little bit of jealousy because she views herself as like an older sister / mentor for Kitty, which Stevie Hunter is also. And plus, they're both black. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. We then switch up to Ottawa. I think it's Ottawa, Canada, where we see Heather McDonald. Vindicator's wife, and she's getting groceries. She notices that the door is open, and she's like, "There's burglars here. I'm going to see what's going on." So she grabs a broom and busts into the kitchen, and Wolverine's having a brewski, and Nightcrawler's like, "Whoo!" She then identifies him as Logan, and this is the first like official time outside of like the classic X-Men revisions that he's identified as Logan. And Nightcrawler's like, "Oh, you have a first name. How come you never told us?" And he's like, "You never asked." And it's like the third time that's happened. Oh, good stuff. Anyway, Vindicator's out in the woods in northern Canada doing a mission for Department H. And there's Shaman and I think it's Snowbird was with him. Aurora, North Star, and Sasquatch apparently are off in some other issue of a different Marvel book doing something with them. But they're here to hunt the Wendigo. So apparently there was a boy who came stumbling out of the woods, and they found him, and he was talking about how his parents were like taken, and there's like a baby brother or something, and they're all freaking out. So they send Vindicator and the rest of the remaining Alpha Flight out to figure it out. At this point, they sense like a presence or something, and Snowbird transforms into a bear, so she can do more than just transform into an owl. That's fun, and heads out. Meanwhile, as she heads out, Wolverine and Nightcrawler come in like the back door, and they're like, "What up?" They're about to fight, but not fight. And Nightcrawler's like, "No, we're not supposed to fight." And then Snow Owl comes back as a bear, and Nightcrawler freaks out and jumps into Wolverine. Hilarity ensues. This is where we learn about the story, and then Wolverine talks about not Sasquatch, Wendigo, and he regales us with the tales of him and Hulk fighting and all that good stuff. So he knows he can be beaten, and we get like the whole lowdown, which you can check if you go back and see one of our other videos about Wolverine. I think it's just called Wolverine. Anyway, Nightcrawler goes out to get some equipment, and Wolverine and the rest of the Alpha Flight that's here start game planning. Nightcrawler's out, and he's like, "Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo," and rah, it's a Wendigo. That leads us into issue 137. Or no, sorry, that was 139. So 140. And this, we start with Colossus. He's just thinking about being a farmer in Russia and pulling stumps out of the ground. And Angel comes over, and they have like a fun conversation about doing that. And then Professor X talks to him for a little bit. Aurora goes to pick up Kitty from dance class. And again, she talks about how she's a little jealous of Stevie, and they just like chit-chat a little bit about that. On our way back to Canada, Wendigo is in the midst of hunting Nightcrawler down. Nightcrawler's having a real tough time. Wendigo grabs him. He teleports out. He tries to hit him. Wendigo's like sensing him. He's like a super Wolverine, essentially. And then all of a sudden they hear a sound because Nightcrawler got hit into the cabin, and he like stumbles in the door, and he's like, "Wendigo." And then they all run outside and see Wendigo picking up like a van or a Jeep, and then Vindicator blasts it, and then Wendigo picks up a tree and hits Vindicator. Snow Owl or Snowbird turns into an owl to go help Vindicator, and there's like a fire from the destroyed vehicle or something, and Shaman uses his like ice magic to put it out, and Wendigo starts to run, but they're, "No, we got to chase after him." So Wolverine and Snowbird chase after him. She flies, he's hunting with the scent, and then she's like something the McDougals or Donalds or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, back in the day when I came stumbling out of the woods, which we haven't gotten to like the Weapon X program yet, but they were like the people who took care of me and brought me in, and I was trying to figure out this stuff, and I'd like lost my memory, and the government, he used me as like a spy, and they used me as like a warrior and like all this stuff, and I've killed tons for the government and blah blah blah, but these guys treated me like a real human. It was great. Back in the present, Wolverine and Snowbird find Wendigo lifting up a rock, and there's the woman and her baby and some skulls, because Wendigo likes to eat flesh, like fresh meat, and so he's ready to eat. And Wolverine's like, hells no. So he goes and he beats the shit out of Wendigo and stabs him up real good, while Snowbird goes and gets the rest of Alpha Flight and Nightcrawler. He gets the woman and the baby. They start heading out, but then Wendigo catches up and knocks him out real good and starts smashing him on the ground, at which point Nightcrawler shows up and starts fighting him. Vindicator's there. And Shaman and Snowbird are like, oh man, I don't know what we're going to do. He's pretty tough. We got to do something. And Snowbird's like, I have to do something to save this child. So she turns into like a white Wolverine and goes and beats the shit out of Wendigo. But she's like lost it to her berserker rage at this point. And they like, oh, I don't know what we should do. And Shaman's like, I can transform Wendigo back because he's unconscious, but I don't know about Snowbird. We have to knock her out too. And then Wolverine's like, no, I got it. And he just uses his like as animal husbandry skill and rolls a crit. So that he walks up to the white Wolverine and brings Snowbird back, and now she wants his dick, which she mentions a couple times. Shaman's successful in converting Wendigo back to the guy Baptiste, Georges Baptiste or whatever, whoever it was from when Wolverine fought him before, and Vindicator immediately arrests him because he chose to be Wendigo, and so therefore, by Canadian law or some bullshit, he's held accountable. Wolverine and Nightcrawler then have one of their first really fun talks about him being a murderer and being okay with it, and Wolverine has to really think hard about it as they meander back to New York from there. We then head to the capital, Toronto or whatever, of Canada, and Vindicator is talking to the Prime Minister about, and they're like, yeah, we'll leave Wolverine alone. That's fine. I know he took care of helped with the Wendigo situation, so we'll forgive all charges or whatever. And the Prime Minister is like, hey man, so they made a vote, and the government's not going to sponsor Alpha Flight anymore, so you guys are on your own. Good luck, and we apologize. You can keep like your stipends and medical coverage, but that's all we can do for you. And he's like, all right, we'll figure it out. Meanwhile, back in New York somewhere, New Mexico, sorry, checking my notes. The Blob is being held prisoner, and these guys are like, look at this dumb motherfucker. What's he doing now? And then he uses something. He mentioned some woman taught him how to like do something, like make an implosion, and that would devastate like the prison he's in. And so that happens, and he escapes, and he's like, aha, they're going to come get me. And that's the end of the Wendigo arc. It's pretty short, pretty succinct, the way I like it. Some of these recent ones that are like hour-long videos. But yeah, that's the Wolverine, or that's the Wendigo arc for the Uncanny X-Men. And go ahead, like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.